The Businessin Wales Podcast, sponsored by Sinclair Group, the business media for Wales. Hello and welcome back to the Businessin Wales Podcast with me, Daniel Bevan. And today's episode is all about men's health. And I'm really happy to say that we're joined by Owen Pugsley, the head of commercial at Prostate Cymru. Owen, thank you very much for joining us today. How are we doing?
Yeah, really good, Dan. Thanks for inviting me on. It's been a long time on the bucket list, so let's tick it off.
And I will just address the elephant in the room. Despite what I'm seeing on the screens, we're not related.
No, somehow. I don't know how, but, well, we could be. Who knows?
Yeah, if you're going to be this handsome, then you're going to end up bumping into someone who's equally as handsome at some point anyway. I remember at the Women in Wales Awards, we were dressed in almost identical suits as well. We looked like little brothers. Anyway, Owen, it's so good to have you here. Let's just start off with the basics and tell us a bit about Prostate Cymru for those who aren't aware.
Yeah, so for those who aren't aware, Prostate Cymru is Wales' leading prostate health charity. I should probably start with saying we're different to Prostate Cancer UK, completely separate organisations, but very similar mission. The charity was founded sort of by our chairman, Andy Thomas, who was a consultant urological surgeon.
Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah, it's always a mouthful. But as you can probably guess, that is the sort of boots on the ground kind of person who founded a charity with a clear aim to help within the NHS, and that's kind of what we've stuck with.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And as you say, different to Prostate Cancer UK, similar missions, but we were talking off camera about some of the rather stark statistics. The first being that 1 in 8 men will have prostate cancer and 1 in 3 men with a family history as well. But this is something that perked my ears up. 1 in 4 black men. So if you're someone who is a person of colour, you're much more likely to contract or to develop prostate cancer. Do we know why that is?
No, anecdotally, so I can say this with anecdotal evidence kind of suggests it's a bit led with like testosterone and stuff.
Oh.
So obviously there's quite a bit more testosterone. It could make it a bit more aggressive, but that's sort of what people have said to me in the past. But other than that, it's one of those diseases which you don't really know. I don't know if there's enough data around it because we don't have a sort of screening process. I don't know whether there's enough evidence to suggest. So there's a lot of people out there spending a lot more money on research, which is great. So hopefully we'll come to the bottom of that, and then that's the start of the puzzle, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, 1 in 12 people who get prostate cancer in England, it's caught too late. In Wales, though, that figure is 1 in 5, which is much, much worse. Tell me a little bit about that. Why do you think that's the case?
God, it's a difficult one. We're a difficult breed in Wales, I got to be honest. You know what it's like. We're kind of sort of, especially when you look at where the prevalence is, you're sort of like valley towns, old mining communities. Your health is sometimes on a back burner. You look at farming communities. Well, there was an old adage that with farmers, they look after their animals better than they look after themselves. So I think Wales as a whole is quite poor in terms of their health. But then when you combine that with the fact that a lot of people don't understand what the sort of test is, and they think, oh, I'm not going for that. Then I think that's where the disparity lies. But also, it just does seem that Welsh men are a lot worse at looking after themselves.
I mean, we talk a lot about stigma around men's health, and that goes into mental health as well. But when it comes to physical health, I think there is a little bit of still that attitude of sort of pulling your bootstraps up, just carrying on, man flu or whatever it may be.
Oh God!
Yeah. But prostate health and prostate cancer are not things to be messed around with.
No, it's I've been thinking about it on the way down the car, to be honest. There was like one key message which probably didn't talk about off camera earlier. I was at the golf club the other day, and we were doing an awareness training session for a couple of people. So I said to one of the guys who I've known for the last 7 years in the club, look, do you want to join us? Have you been for a test? And his literal answer was, no, I know too much about it. I might as well tell you now because I haven't told anyone else. But if I had listened to you 7 years ago, then they might have had a different outcome. I've got prostate cancer spread to my bones, and I don't think I'll be here this time next year.
My lord.
When you look at that as a whole, it really did blow me away last week. And it just made me think. It was something I didn't know about. And then we got to talking. He was saying that for him then, he wouldn't really see his daughter's graduation. He was really upset about the little things. So from that point, I've always known that it's really important, but you kind of owe it to your family, you owe it to yourself. So it's not just an internal thing, you owe it to a lot of other people.
How did you feel when this person was telling you that?
Blown away, to be honest. Like, I don't get blown away very often. I've been working with a charity for 11 years. You've seen your own side of things. There's been a couple of instances where people have had prostate cancer and they don't seem like they've got cancer and they haven't. But it just seems completely normal, and then they've passed away. And that always hits you. But I think this one, where I didn't know completely, it just floored me, really. So, yeah, it's a big thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, wishing that person all the best. And does that sort of reaffirm for you in your mind, if that needed happening in any way, shape or form, just why you do what you do and the importance of it?
Yeah, I think it did. I got to be honest, I think it really did. Like, you don't get complacent, you never do. But we sort of see, we're not Velindra. Like, my wife's a chemo nurse in Velindra, so she often sees the bad end of it. She essentially sees before they go to a hospice, so they'll see the really negative sides. But what I tend to have is the good news stories. So a lot of our volunteers, like I said to you earlier, we use these volunteers and we use these people to deliver presentations because they've been through prostate cancer and they're almost out the other end. So it's not as common as we think to see people having a negative outcome. But then when you go on the stands and you listen to people, then you do see it. But yeah, it's always been like an arm's length away, but that really brought it home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sinclair Group has been part of the motor industry for over 80 years, and we've never stood still. Because for us, it's not just about where we've been, it's about where we're going. We believe in progress, embracing innovation, investing in technology, and moving towards a more sustainable future for everyone. We offer new and approved used vehicle sales and service for some of the world's most forward-thinking motor brands. But our drive is always to the future. So whether you're starting your journey or continuing your legacy, visit sinclairgroup.co.uk. Belong for good.
Well, let's talk about the testing, because in this person's words, wish she'd spoken and listened to you sooner. There is a feeling, and I'm sure many men who are watching this now will say that they think they know exactly what a prostate test it includes, and that they don't want to put themselves through that. Just first of all, how silly is that misconception?
Yeah, it is I don't know where the misconceptions come, I gotta be honest. Like, obviously that is part of the test as a whole, but the initial test is just a blood test. So a PSA test, which we've been delivering, is literally just it stands for prostate specific antigen. So it just shows the antigens within the blood. The only way you can get that is with a PSA and a blood test. So you actually have to have two. So once you've had two of those, if it is showing irregularities, I think you'd be asking for the third test.
and that's the thing. Like, you'd much rather know.
Yeah, 100%. And knowing early as well. Like, it's just so curable. 96% chance of curing it. And also, the way that it's cured is a lot better. So we were saying earlier, if it was localized and it was within the prostate, you can have a radical prostatectomy with a robot. You'd be in and out of hospital within a day. You'd be playing golf within a week. It's not like it was before, where it was laparoscopic. It was a really big thing. So if you could catch it at that point, without having to have chemo, without having to have radiotherapy, that's the best way to do it. And because it's symptomless, what we say is just go for a test, find out early, much, much better prognosis.
I think at the moment the way that it gets brought into the NHS is about 50. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is the point at which people start getting offered the tests via the NHS. Do yourselves offer them for people younger, obviously? Yeah,
we do. And the thing is, it's really the disparity between the two is quite difficult, because you use the word offered. That's always really difficult. We've got such a disparity between GP practices, because they are sort of the gatekeepers to the test. So we've got men going there going, oh, I had a really, really good GP. He told me that I should get a test. I've got a family history. So they're really pragmatic, and they tested me before I was 50. Whereas you've had some people then, well, I'm a black man with a family history, but I can't get a test. That was literally the words that we heard in Llantriston Golf Club the other day. So from my perspective then, I'm looking at it going, well, you are literally prime candidate number 1.
Yeah.
This man should be offered a test from sort of 45, we say. And we do even go down to 40. If there's a real prominence and a real need for the test, that is what we do. So we do our rounds of testing based on that. And like I said, if you've got a family history or you're a black man, then come in a little bit earlier. Because you look at someone like Chris Hoy, it was like 47 when he was diagnosed. But his grandfather had it, his father had it. It was not inevitable, but there was a good chance that he should have been tested earlier.
That news about Chris Hoy, I think it rocked a lot of people in the sporting world and wider, because he was seen as this huge character, fantastic Olympian. Would have taken a lot of him to be able to talk about his diagnosis publicly. Are you thankful, though, that he's been able to speak about what he has and the awareness he's given the illness?
Unbelievable. I think we've always been, I say lucky as a bit of a weird word to describe it, because we've had a lot of people coming out, like Stephen Fry, Bill Turnbull, coming out and saying, like, we've got prostate cancer. Ever since that does happen, the spike in the calls that we get with our online nurse, the spike in the emails that we get are massive. So the awareness side of that is huge. But when you see someone as young and as fit and as healthy as Sir Chris, that completely changed the perspective, because it was always considered, oh, this is an old man's disease. Don't worry about it. You're going to die with it. You're not going to die from it, which was a total misconception. You see someone then at 47 going through what he's going through, then you turn around and say, oh, well, actually, maybe it's not an old man's disease. So you are getting people now a lot younger attending our testing days.
Absolutely. And as you say, it's a bit of a catch-22, because you don't want to hear about these things happening so publicly. And people are very brave to bring those stories together. But it's fascinating that you say that when someone does come out at the top end, that it correlates with a big spike in your calls.
Huge. Absolutely huge. You got like Kenny Logan and things like that. They've just delivered in Scotland 800 tests, which was the first for them. We've got an absolute spike in, even when it's like you look at the King. We don't know what cancer the King had, but we would get people assuming, and then they would be coming to us and they would be phoning, going to the nurse's hotline. And the thing is, what's difficult is prostate cancer symptoms, when it does go to symptoms, are quite the same as just getting old. Right. So we get up in the night to go to the toilet, but we almost put up with it. So people don't understand, oh, this is actually a symptom of potential prostate cancer. But then once you combine the fact with like someone really famous has done it, then they say, oh, well, I only noticed because I was getting up in the night, or I had a bit of shoulder pain, or I was doing this and that, and it resonates with someone. Then they start to think, oh, wait a minute, I should get a test, yeah.
And I didn't know that, actually. So talk us through some of the symptoms of prostate cancer when it is developed, because I wasn't sure that it was something that, is so, how do I say, something you can just live quite normally with.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, no. Like I said, it's two facets, really. We are prostate health overall as a charity. So you look at benign prostate, BHP, and then you're looking at an enlarged prostate, say. So part of the symptoms with that are nocturia. So you're like getting up in the night quite a lot. People are getting up 5, 6, 7 times a night. And they go, oh, it's just part of getting old. Well, there's actually a treatment for that, which we'll get into. Then you look at it down the lines of, oh, well, I'm not actually emptying my bladder properly. So you've got like an incomplete emptying. So you might go to the toilet, then next thing, 15 minutes later, think, oh, I haven't actually emptied. That's another sign. Then you're looking at sort of frequency. If you go into the toilet during the day a lot more, that could be a sign of prostate cancer. So these 3 symptoms are really quite prominent in people, and they just put up with it. But it's not necessarily prostate cancer. But like we say, you could go for a test for prostate cancer. It turned out to be benign. And then what you can do, there's stuff like green light lasers, aquaplasion robots. They can shave the prostate down. And I always remember there's one of the guys who's an ambassador for us. And he was going through it. He was having a nightmare. And his biggest thing was, I just can't go for a pint anymore. Every time I go for a pint, I have the worst night's sleep. He had this green light laser surgery and he was skipping down the pub. But honestly, he had 4 pints and it was the happiest I've seen him in ages. So there's treatment out there, but just understand, like, part of the symptoms are not just getting old as a man. So combine that, we're going for a test and happy days.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I've said it before, and I'll probably say it again after this, but it is always just better to know, isn't it, than to guess and to try and put it out of your mind. I wonder how many people listening to this now will resonate with what you're saying there and think, "Oh, I'm probably going to the toilet a bit more frequently than I was. I'm not drinking any more water than I was, but it's probably nothing." Tell me how, if they want to access a test, a blood test, a PSA, how they can do that.
Yeah, so two ways really, currently. First point of contact is always a GP. So it's part of the GP's commitment to the general public. After 50, there's no way they can say no to a test. So they might dissuade you. There's a lot of misconceptions about this. So a lot of GPs are not fully educated on it. So they could turn you away, but you've really got to be persistent if that is the case. So like I said, that's free on the NHS. But we're currently, since 2 years ago, delivering PSA tests as part of the charity. We're going out to places which people are going to be, really. So if I use examples, we're in Bather on Sunday. We're actually going to Bather Rugby Club. They're playing Ponty the day before. So we'll have a lot of advertising down there. We'll have a lot of men down there. But it's Sunday. It's a day where most people are resting and they're not really got much planned. They don't have to take a day off work. So they can come down and see us, book on for a test, and they can just have it. So we've been going there. We're going to the Liberty Stadium. We've been going to Haverfordwest Cricket Club. We've got a lot of different testing days in all different places, and we always try and make it so it's on a Friday, it's on a Saturday or a Sunday, so it's just more accessible, really.
And obviously, we were talking again off camera, but you've got a really exciting partnership with Airbus, a brand new thing for yourselves, and something that I know that is very exciting. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, it is really exciting. So 2 years ago when this all started, really, it was with Swansea FC, Swansea Football Club, and the Swansea Foundation. So we did it as a complete pilot. It was a public PSA testing day, and from there last year we delivered 8 testing days. This year we delivered 10, all of which are available to the public. Like I said, they're places where people would go when they're taking their kids to junior rugby. They can pop along and have a test. But Airbus wanted to go one better. There's a real big, it's a big site in Broughton. It's 12 miles long. It's operating 24/7. They've got some ridiculous statistics about how much money they'll lose if they close down the lines. So what they've done is really worked with us over the last month to bring this test into their workforce and employees. So I can say, they've made a really, really big donation of £50,000, which will deliver for them circa 1,800 tests. So what they've done is they've invited us to the site. They've facilitated 4 separate rooms. And in June, we're going to be able to offer their men testing because they've got men on night shifts, they've got men on 4-day turnarounds, and they've brought us into their organisation and delivered real-world CSR to the men in their site.
And that is, one of the biggest private sector employers in Wales. I think, barring maybe the NHS, they could be the biggest employer in Wales, just off the top of my head. So it must be huge for you, the amount of impact that's going to have on the community of Broughton, but also about the awareness of yourselves.
Oh, massively. It's been huge for us because this probably put us onto another level again when we started doing the testing, because no one else was really doing it, and especially on the scale in which we've done it. But when you look at someone like Airbus, who's really putting their money where their mouth is in terms of looking after their staff, it just gives us that extra bit of credibility because we've been delivering sort of awareness sessions for years. It's been one of our biggest things as a charity, is just raising that level of awareness. So we go out to organisations, we deliver a presentation, but at the end of that, we're always going from there thinking, well, I wonder how many people went for a test after this. I wonder how many people actually tested positive, or how many lives have you saved from it? Whereas when you look at the impact of this Airbus testing day, out of 1,800 people, you could be looking at 200 men who have a red letter or who potentially have prostate cancer. So you can just see the magnitude of being brought into a facility that big to deliver that many tests. It's going to be staggering, really, and give some massive statistics.
And from a company perspective, I mean, it would be huge for Airbus to understand the health of their workforce and to make sure that they're doing well. Tell us about how that specifically this Airbus partnership came about.
Yeah, so we've always been really supportive. So I got to say, there was one of the WEPA, they're called, in Bridgend. So it's the paper mill. Quite recently, they had a bit of a fire, so they went out a bit. And one of the guys there, they raised a bit of money for Prostate Cymru. So I was invited down then through Unite the Union to deliver a presentation, myself then, to the 8 biggest manufacturers in Wales. So this was as part of their AGM. So from that, all I did was sort of give the statistics, a bit akin to what we've done now. We had a bit of interaction, bit of banter, a bit of all men who were looking after each other. And then the CEO then was sat opposite me, didn't really know how it was going. To be honest, didn't really interact the whole way through. So I thought, am I doing a good job, doing a bad job? Stood up at the end, absolutely magnificent. Said, look, everyone in this room can be doing more for their employees. We certainly want to have you up here. This is the sort of thing we're thinking. And you do get that quite a bit in business, especially when you go back to a busy desk. But the next day, 9 o'clock in the morning, I'd had an email from him saying, this is what we want to do. And turn around 6 months later, this is where we are. So that's how it all come about. And hopefully we could replicate this then across other manufacturers or across other sectors which have a high dominant workforce and really want to give back. So
Sinclair Group has been part of the motor industry for over 80 years. And in that time, we've learned it's not just about cars, it's about the impact we leave behind. We believe in driving change, supporting the people around us where we live and work. Because when our communities thrive, we all do. We offer new and approved used vehicle sales and service for some of the world's biggest motor brands. But what drives us goes far beyond the road. So whether you're starting your journey or continuing your legacy, visit sinclairgroup.co.uk. Belong for good.
Absolutely. Well, putting his money where his mouth is, so props to Airbus there. Absolutely. And tell me then, obviously this is the Businessin Wales podcast, so we've got to talk a little bit about business.
Yes.
We've spoken quite a fair bit about men's health, and we will continue to. But just how important is the Welsh business landscape to the charity?
Oh, it's massive. Honestly, it is absolutely massive. And that's one of the things in Wales we always say is it's the smallest town, really, Wales, isn't it? It's like, it feels like it's a town. You literally, we've got such good support from each area of Wales, from anyone from sort of Castle Howell, Radnor. We've got yourselves and the guys in the studio who seem to be taking over the world as well. But you know what it's like. You start to speak to one person, they know another person. It's a really good family-orientated business world. So we've really capitalised on that. And we've got some really, really great connections who understand what we can bring to their organisation.
Well, absolutely. And you're also dealing with a lot of people who are going to be personally touched by prostate cancer, or as we talked about benign prostate disease as well. So when it comes to not only getting at your target audience, but also the people who can make the biggest difference as well.
Absolutely.
It must make a big difference. And how do you work with businesses then if people want to get involved or want, for example, the PSA testing in their workplace?
Yes, there's a number of different ways, really. Like I said, we're really lucky with who we've got. And especially with who we've got on the board as well. We've got sort of David Brace from Dunraven Windows. We've worked with them since longer than I've been with the charity. They've supported us in a number of different ways, whether it be fundraising, whether it be David's time as well to bring the company on. They supply us with a van and fuel card, which saves the charity money, but also we couldn't do what we do without it. So they've got a younger audience, so we'll go and deliver presentations to them. But what they might do is then take it on to their fathers or their wives take on to their father-in-laws and a lot of things like that. Then you've got other companies who will choose us as a chosen charity. They'll work with us for a year, but what we like to do, we always like to say, like, you work with us. So we'll be ever present. We like to come into the organisation, understand what makes you guys tick, create a bit of a fun fundraising presence for you, but also, again, then deliver a CSR benefit. Or we've been really, really lucky with companies such as Swansea Building Society especially. So every other year, they've donated for the last 2 years £20,000 towards public PSA testing. So they've just given us £20,000. They've worked, because they ended up having 2 people from the PSA testing days who tested positive within their organisation.
Wow.
So they again really put their money where their mouth was, and they've helped deliver the PSA test into the masses. So there's a number of different ways you can do it. But if you wanted to get in touch with me, if you want to get in touch with anyone in the team, really, we're all really personable. We're not a massive faceless organisation. Literally, if you get in touch with us, you'll see one of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, we've obviously worked together on a few different projects, and you were at the Women in Wales Awards. I saw Tina there as well. She was having a great time. You are this ever-present, Cardiff Business Club events as well with Bryn Mawr,
Yeah.
and all. So you are about you. If you're in the Cardiff business community or the Welsh business community, you will bump into Owen or someone from Prostate Cymru at some point, whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
But how many businesses a year do you reckon you see, and how many people do you reach?
Oh, God, millions, I would say, in terms of people that are reached. If you look to the organisations, though, like, we're really different when it comes to the charity sector, I would say. When we were set up, it's always been the same, because it's that familiarity in the personable space. We tend to retain quite a lot of the people who work with us. Not because we're like really pushy or really salesy or anything, quite the opposite. We just come in and do our thing. And we've worked with organisations year on year. That's why the partnerships with the Dragon Group are developed. Cardiff Bus, Dunraven, like, these are real long-term partnerships. I think we've probably got, if you look to the website, got anywhere from 70, 80 businesses who sit alongside us. But there's got to be, out of those, 80% of returning supporters who will do something for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And without trying to sound too morbid about it, but, without that kind of business support, you wouldn't be able to do what you do, right?
No way. No, we wouldn't. It's commercially, and it sounds weird saying commercial and charity, but it's got to be operated as a business. But without the business community, there's absolutely no way in which we would continue to operate. But what we like to do is really give back to the staff, which in turn then buys us a lot of good favour with the organisations. And then the fundraising, we always need to fundraise because we're not government funded. It's all the money that we raise ourselves, but that comes naturally to a degree for us as a charity.
Yeah.
So it's really, really good. Any support that we can get is brilliant.
Absolutely. And tell me about the awareness teams that you've got across Wales, and hoping to expand those as well at the moment.
Yeah, they've been the biggest things for us. The friendship groups, we call them.
Okay.
They started off, they're like pockets of just that, friends really, in local communities. So we started off with sort of one in Pembrokeshire, which was Ray Williams from the WRU. So they headed it up. And one of our trustees, John Daniels. And from there, we sort of look at business leaders in the local communities. We look at people who've got a story of how they've worked with prostate cancer, or they've had prostate cancer. They've got fundraisers, they've got awareness presenters. So all of these make up the group. And then in turn, the group then does fundraising, or they might do a bit of awareness talking. But there's a really good group that we just developed in Brecon. They're literally a group of farmers. And they sort of meet in the pub. So they go for a couple of pints. And a big thing for them, though, is like other farmers resonate with other farmers. So they can see, oh, wow, John's had a test. Why have I not gone for a test? Then they test positive, and it's quite an insular community because of where they are. They've got big farms, they're working constantly, but they know, right, on a Friday, once a month, we can meet up in the pub. We can have a chat about everything farming, but also we got support on prostate health.
Yeah.
So these groups then, we've got Monmouthshire, in Abergavenny, we've got in Glamorgan, we're in Cardiff, we're in Carmarthen, Pembrokeshire. We're looking to branch out into North Wales and Swansea, though they are 2 big target areas for us because we've got the support there, but we just haven't really formalised it. So hopefully if someone's watching or listening to the podcast, they can sort of get in touch, and if they wanted a group, they wanted to get together, then we could make that happen.
Well, there we are. That's your call to action, viewers. And you mentioned there about the rural community and farming, agriculture. it is a trope, isn't it, that farmers look after their animals better than they look after themselves in a lot of ways. I went to the Royal Welsh last year. I've been several times, but we went as Businessin and Sporting. Had a fantastic time. Love speaking to the agriculture community. It's something that you always try and reach as well, and make sure that farmers are aware of yourselves. And just how successful have you been in that space?
It's been a challenge. Over 11 years, I will say, that I've been there. I remember we went to the Royal Welsh, first ever time. It was one of my first years working for the charity. We decided we were going to go to the road shows and we were going to take our message to them. Didn't work. 3 years it took, and I don't think we spoke to anything. Oh, no, I don't want to hear about this. No, I don't want to hear about this. So really, to break into that community was difficult. But one thing we are is persistent. We're really lucky. We've got like Myri and Owen, we've got Brian from Castle Howell, Brian Jones, who sit on our sort of board as well and help us out. They're in the friendship group, so they really bring a level of credibility within the farming community. Then moving on from there, we've done a lot in terms of like developing the friendship group. So again, it's farmers, seeing other farmers working with us. And now you go to the Royal Welsh and we're sort of like royalty as a charity. we get the message. We're literally having farmers dragging other farmers to us going, right, you need to listen. You need to talk. Yeah. And at that point then, we've been really successful. And what we did potentially is like, we thought we'd get a message to the farming community in the same way as we would to the business community. Maybe we'll do some advertising. Maybe we'll do some podcasting. Well, they're just not listening. So what we decided, we would pitch up in the market. So every Wednesday then, in Brecon Market or Abergavenny Market or in Monmouthshire Market, we'd been going and we were bringing the health message to the farmers. They were seeing us, they were talking to us, they could see we were real people, they could hear the story of the farmers who talked to them. And then from there, really, we've been really successful. And we've got 2 groups now, which are really in the heart of the farming community. NFU Mutual, massive supporters of ours. So now the message is there. The fundraising, again, like I said, has always come secondary, but we've been really lucky from those groups. But yeah, we've moved that forward a lot.
Sinclair Group has been part of the motor industry for over 80 years. That's not just a number, it's generations of trust built on shared values, because family isn't just who you're born to, it's who you choose to stand with, and that's what matters to us. We offer new and approved used vehicle sales and service for some of the world's biggest motor brands, and trust, that's at the heart of it all. So whether you're starting your journey or continuing a legacy, visit sinclairgroup.co.uk. Belong for good.
And why do you think that there was that initial hesitation from the community to sort of engage with you?
I reckon twofold, really. I reckon a big part of it, from what I've spoken to people, is like, because of the way farmers are, they're just tough people. They've got a tough job, they provide for the family, and they really do provide for
Wales,
the
country, yeah.
For the country. So in their mind, they can't get sick. So I think it was a case of, bloody hell, I don't want to know, because if I know when I'm getting sick and I need treatment, then I can't actually deliver on what I'm doing, which is crazy, because once you start talking to them and go, look, if you have got it, you can be in and out from surgery if you went down that route, or it might just be a case of taking a few tablets and you'll be okay. It's not that big operation which will put you out to farming for 6 months. And then from there, they've seen their friends, they've seen firsthand that is the case, and that's why they're looking after themselves.
Is ultimately the biggest problem, biggest barrier, not necessarily actually getting the test? I mean, we joke a little bit about, don't we, about it, but actually, is it people afraid of the outcome?
I think it potentially is, yeah. I think it potentially is.
And I guess when you are worried about the outcome, then it can lead to all sorts of stress and, maybe affects the day job, the family life, etc. You can take all that stress away by just getting the test, right?
Well, we always say, and I know Tina, you mentioned Tina earlier, she is the world's biggest advocate of this. It's, we always look at the red letters. We always look at those people who are going to suffer. I say suffer, but we're going to look at those people who are going to get a red letter and how they are going to react to it. However, you've got 96% of people, say, who are going to be getting a green letter, and they're going to be having that peace of mind, that level of, wow, my PSA was really low, I feel great, and they're elated because of it. There's the uncertainty of unknowing is a really, really hard place to be sometimes. So just by getting a test and finding out either way, you could put your mind at ease easily.
Well, there we are. If there's one thing to take away from the podcast, it's absolutely that if you are worried in any way, shape or form, or you're a man of a certain age, just get tested. It's really, really not that big of a deal. And you'd rather know than not. Let's move on to a little bit more about the fundraising, though, because I know for a fact that there probably isn't any charity in Wales that has more fun fundraising than you do. Just looking at some of the places you've been and some of the activities you've taken part in, it's a bit, well, to be honest with you, how is this even a job?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, get paid to go to Namibia and Vietnam and travel across, the most beautiful country in the world, of course, Wales. But, tell me a bit about some of the fun highlights of the things that you've been getting up to, Owen.
God, I think you're right. Like I said, I've been here for 11 years now. Been literally through everything. We're really lucky in the respect that I can not do what I want, but we do what we want. If we want to do a challenge, I remember ringing up David Brace from Dunraven saying, I think I'm doing 3 peaks this May. Well, no problem. Tina said, well, how's it going to work out for you? Are you going to be back in work on Monday? I'll be back in work on Monday. So we drove up over the weekend. Ended up doing the 3 peaks, back in work on Monday. It's brilliant. But to be honest, we do our own 5 events every year, which are split between sort of corporate and a bit of everything, really. But then aside from that, we like to get involved with companies and individuals. I'll be honest with you, I've been to some of the most bizarre fundraisers in a good way. And that's the thing with us as a charity. Because it's so fun, it gets infectious to you as a person. So, like, I've been on a 24-hour dart marathon in Cowbridge where one of the boys won a Guinness World Record. It's just stuff like that which just come off the wall. We've got we've got a group of boys, the Bearded Villains, this year. We're like just a group of men with beards.
Are they villains?
They seem right. They're doing fundraising. But yeah, they're doing some hikes and things like that. And it's just ways to get involved. We've been really lucky with the Masons and the Masonic Lodges. So we do things within the local communities. So really, we're up for getting on board with pretty much anything. But yeah, in terms of the internal stuff, like we're going to Vietnam next year. We've just come back from Namibia, which is a really good trek. We've been to Machu Picchu as well.
Wow.
So those are phenomenal. We've always done a big walk, which sort of helps the charity. But this year we've gone one step further. Like I said before, we can do what we want, basically, because our chairman is just as crazy as anyone. He's decided he's going to walk over 1,000 miles around the full circumference of Wales with 9 people. We've gotten support from a lot of different people. We've got a lot of platinum sponsors who can help make this happen. And then we've got a lot of awareness along the route. We've got a lot of fundraising on the route. So what we're going to do is just try and make it as fun as possible, but take a real serious message on the road with us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And us at the Dragon Group are very, very happily supporting you as well. Myself, Max in the corner there as well. We'll be walking the last 18 miles or so, Rodney Parade to the Millennium Stadium with you. We're just really getting in at the end, to be honest, because I couldn't do 1,000 miles in however many days. But no, it's going to be a really fantastic event, and I hope we're not dragging you over the finish line, but if that's what's needed, then we'll happily step up. Selfishly, tell me a bit about Vietnam 2027. Well,
aside from the fact I think you should join, but Vietnam 2027, we do a trek. We've done a trek for the last 2 years. Every other year was the plan. And this year we decided on Vietnam. So we've done a mountain, which Machu Picchu. Last year we did a desert. So this year we're looking at next year we're looking at a jungle.
Right.
So as part of that, then we're going to walk a couple of 100 miles. We're going to be staying in the Vietnam towns. So we'll be staying with the people there.
Oh, amazing.
Which looks class. We're going to be, like I said, first 2 days having a couple of drinks and getting to know each other. But we're really lucky because a lot of the people who come in with us already have been on 2 treks before. So we are like a proper family organisation, really. And then after that, we'll probably do something cool. We'll either go to maybe Thailand or somewhere else in Vietnam. But all of that is underlying with the fundraising side of things. So last year, we were really, really lucky. We raised £170,000. Wow. Which is a phenomenal amount of money.
I mean, if you're going on a 100 kilometre trek through Namibia, you deserve 170 grand.
It was tough.
But it was.
It was tough.
Like that sandy terrain, really bad on the carbs, right?
Yeah, absolutely solid. The heat, 40-degree heat.
Mm-hmm.
The lack of shade, I think, was the big one, though. There was just nothing. In the middle of the desert, you'd think that you would know that, but in the middle of the desert, there was just nothing.
Yeah, I think famously, the desert doesn't have too many trees.
No.
But wonderful. So just to round things off, and I know we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but this is probably the better time than any to say, if you want to get involved in fundraising or just supporting Prostate Cymru, how and where can we go?
Yeah, so I think the first place to go is the website. We're currently in the process of having a new one, which is great. But we're a really personable team. We've got the number on the website, so phone the office and we'll point you in the right direction. We've got a couple of sign-up forms on the website, so give us your idea and we'll help you make it happen. Look at where the friendship groups are based, and you'd be surprised the amount of people who know someone in the friendship group and will say, oh, look, I'm looking to do this, and then they'll support. So really, it'll all come back through the office, but head to the website, get in touch. We're all on there, but we're all really personable.
Wonderful. And we always finish these podcasts off with the same question. It's going to feel a little bit jarring, I think, because we haven't really talked much about you personally. We talked a lot about the organisation. But we always ask our guests, if there was any advice for your younger self, what would it be?
Ooh, this is profound, isn't it?
It is a bit profound.
I think my biggest lot of advice for myself, aside from the fact I've always been the type of person where I look at it and go, it's always going to work out. But I think the biggest bit of advice for myself would be, do whatever you enjoy and you won't go wrong then. And I do love Prostate Cymru, so at the end of the day, it's what I've enjoyed, and that's why I've been here 11 years.
I think it's the old phrase, isn't it, that if you do what you love, then you won't work a day in your life. So it's a beautiful way of ending it. And if you do want to support Prostate Cymru like we do here at the Dragon Group and Businessin Wales, then you can head over to their website. And that's it for this episode of the Businessin Wales podcast. Please make sure you like and subscribe. And until next time, take care. The Businessin Wales podcast, sponsored by Sinclair Group, the business media for Wales.